Hello everyone, this morning New Glenn launched and successfully landed the first stage on its drone ship and sort of delivered the payload to orbit, but the second stage didn't deliver the payload to the correct orbit. And so the second stage is having some problems. This is not the first time it had inadequacies, and it's not really delivering the full payload of New Glenn to orbit yet, so that's an issue. And maybe it's because it's carrying such light payloads that the stage is, tweaking out or something like that. But ZGlublin on my Twitch channel during a live stream suggested that we should put a third stage on it because, after all, New Glenn was designed originally with a third stage in mind, and that third stage would help get payloads to higher orbits like the moon, and that third stage should be Centaur 5. And here we have the Centaur 5 Leo version, so it's a smaller Centaur 5, and that's because otherwise, with Orion on top and the Centaur 5, it would be 90 tons. In this case, we have about 75 tons, which should be just about right. And so here we're going to have Orion and the Centaur 5 on top of New Glenn 9x4. So I've stretched the second stage. We have 4 BE3Us, and we have 9 engines on the first stage, but I haven't stretched the first stage. We do not have any souped up version of the BE4s. It's just the thrust I already had them at, so it might be a little bit under thrust. Throttle up, SAS is on, ignition. And go. I have put Orion on New Glenn before. You might have remembered I did so with the Blue Moon tanks and the BE7 engines. However, I was since informed that the Blue Moon tanks cannot be launched fully fueled, so there went that idea. And then ZGlublin offered this idea to put the Centaur 5 on it, and so I decided to take that up. Okay, staging. And go. And launch escape system jettison. Still a fairly short stage with the expansion tank here. I didn't really expand it that much. They're probably gonna make it even longer. But let's face it, it's already quite a tall rocket. So it looks like we'll need a little bit from the Centaur stage to finish orbit. That's by design, but it might be... well, let's see. Let's see how much we end up with. We certainly will need some from the service module in order to complete a transfer to the moon, but they seem to like that anyway, so that's fine. Just about 4 Gs here when this finishes. Let me make sure your RCS is on. You know, we probably should just coast. Well, let's just coast for a bit. I mean, with a slightly better trajectory, it could probably do even better, and this could actually do the full transfer to the moon. Right now, we'll be falling just a little bit short. And again, this is the Leo version of the Centaur 5. Presumed Leo version. But I have to caution everyone, this is a very exciting possibility, but this is all based on the second stage of New Glenn actually doing what it was supposed to do, which is deliver 45 tons to low Earth orbit while the first stage gets reused. And then for the New Glenn 9x4, it's supposed to be 70 tons to low Earth orbit with the first stage getting reused. And they have to show us that, right? We have not seen that yet, so yeah. All right. Anyway, we're not too bad off from the moon to actually try it. I didn't bother to deliberately line up with the moon, but we can try here. We'll just go this way around. 7-day trip. So, I mean, actually, what we can do is have them hang out here for a little bit instead of going immediately, but I'll just go immediately. I mean, if you need your 1-day hangout time. For SpaceX and for Blue Origin, they need to get their second stages doing what they're supposed to do. And then for every other rocket company on the planet, They need to land their first stages because this apparently is very easy. It's embarrassing. It's much easier than getting a second stage doing the right thing, apparently. Okay, well, we're not going to use the RCS for that. Prograde, please. So we just need 100 out of this to get to the moon. And we have 1,218 meters per second. So certainly enough to capture and come back. If we do it like this. Not into a low orbit, but even a moderate orbit would be fine. And certainly the stuff that they normally plan to do with Orion. So no problems there. It can launch Orion as long as they have the New Glenn rocket capable in a 9x4 configuration of launching 70 tons to low Earth orbit. Then this can work with the Orion plus the Centaur 5 LEO version. But let's get a more definitive... I mean, we basically know the capacity of it to the moon. The question is, what about low Earth orbit? Which is the mission that didn't quite work out today. They were just trying to get to low Earth orbit. This is probably not the best setup for low Earth orbit because they don't really need that stage for that. Low Earth orbit, optimal 2 stages would be about right. And actually it's about 65 tons it looks like we're carrying here. So our capacity right now is more like 65 tons. So not the full planned 9x4 capacity. Probably that requires us extending this a little bit more because we've got a pretty high thrust to weight ratio on the second stage right now. I kept it shorter because it looks better. Now, to be honest, the Centaur 5 is not a solution for the problem that occurred with the recent launch because that was a low Earth orbit launch and the Centaur 5 is really only useful for going to the moon or to geostationary orbit. It can apparently, based on this Orion test, carry 26 tons to the moon in this configuration with New Glenn 9x4, which is just about the same as SLS with ICPS. So I checked that there. But yeah, for low Earth orbit, you're still going to be finishing off with the second stage of New Glenn. And so then you do need it to do its job. Of course, you still need the second stage of New Glenn to do its job. It's just that the way it saves New Glenn is by getting more payload over to the moon, which right now New Glenn is not so good at doing. Right now, the regular 7-engine first stage and 2-engine second stage can get 14 tons to the moon. Maybe that's its rated amount. It may not be able to do that quite yet. And then it'll be a little bit more for the 9x4 version. So there's a vast improvement if we put a third stage on, which they hadn't intended to do in the first place. I've made this point before. So they should do it with the LEO Centaur 5. Not the full Centaur 5. The full Centaur 5 would be too much. So, well, I mean, it could. If you put the full Centaur 5 on, you better have the souped up B4s to lift it off because otherwise it's going to be overburdened. So, yep, that's the size of it basically. And with that, I'll leave it there. It is a possibility in theory. With that, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do press like. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. And I'll see you next time.